everybody? My name is Shannon and I am still waiting for my Satyr, and holy shit, we just hit 500 subscribers. Like, literally, okay, I know that these videos are a cliche. I know, like, saying it is a cliche, but, like, seriously, I never expected this channel to even get to, like, 100 subscribers. Like, last November, we just hit 200, and I was, like, freaking out, and now all of a sudden, we've, like, completely shot up all the way to 500, and I'm just, like, from the bottom of my heart, like, thank you guys so much for, like, finding these videos, thinking that, like, I'm entertaining enough to, like, subscribe, and for sticking with me, and, like, honestly, like, it just really, really means the world to me. But that's not what you guys are here for. What you guys are here for is because when we have a milestone, we take a step back. Normally on this channel, I just get right to it, just get right to the book, but not when we have a milestone. We do a milestone, we do a little bit more of a vlog type format, tell you a little bit more about this strange person that is like telling you her opinions about books and all of her hot takes about books. Like, why are you want to listen to that? I would have no idea. But I actually got a comment a little while back asking me why I reread books, like kind of what makes me want to reread them, what kind of books do I like to reread. So I thought that this would be like a perfect opportunity to kind of talk about that. So like when I was younger, I hated reading. I was so bad at it. Like I couldn't spell. I just didn't have the patience for it. I couldn't visualize the world in my mind. I couldn't stand any of it. And I think also what made it worse is that in elementary school, I had to participate in something called AR tests. Some of you guys may know what I'm talking about. If you don't, it's this little test where you had to read a book and like answer 10 questions on the computer about what you read. Now that sounds super simple, but to somebody like me who could not stand reading, I did not ever want to do it. I took pride in not having any AR points at the end of like my elementary school days because I was like, nah, I'm not doing any of that. And like when I got to middle school, I was forced to do them, which was not fun at all. I tried to read like Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys, wasn't into it, wasn't for me, failed all of those AR tests. But I was sometimes able to like find a book that I was able to get into that I did like reading, and so I'd read that, take the AR test, and then I thought I could cheat the system, so like I just read it a bunch of times and like keep trying to take the test, and that just never worked. So I think that kind of ingrained in me to like not reread books. I also used to think like, what's the point in rereading a book? Like it would take me so much effort and so much time to get through one. Like why would I want to do it again? Like I already know the story. Like I already know what's going to happen. Well, that was before I really got into reading, and that's before like I really got into like identifying with these characters and like loving the world that they're living in and like wanting to visit it like all over again. Because at some point, I want to say it's when I read Percy Jackson, I just really fell in love with the world. I really fell in love with reading, and it, like, to me, going back and rereading a book is almost like going back and like visiting a friend again. It's so familiar, like going back to that world, and it's just so comforting to just be with these characters again and to go on that adventure and to like learn all of the new things. Like everything is so much simpler at the beginning, so half the time like you're so geared towards where the story ended that like going back and seeing where it all started all over again, you're almost like seeing it with like a fresh set of eyes because you have all of this insight now. So now you can like go back and you see like all of the little things that were like foreshadowing the ending and like all of this little stuff that maybe you missed the first time, or maybe it's these little details that like you'd forgotten were even there, and you can go back and like rediscover it all, and it's just really, really fun. Now that doesn't always happen with books. I definitely say the longer you go between rereading, the more of an experience you're going to have when you read it again. Like I know I reread Percy Jackson. I used to reread it like fairly often, but I'd always leave like a little bit of time in between each read, and that also helped because there were 5 books. So by the time I got to the 5th one, I was ready to go back to the first one anyway because it had been so long since I had read it. But there's one book that I reread over and over and over again, and if you want to use that to like gauge what my favorite book is, it would probably be this one, and it's Life as We Knew It by Susan Beth Pfeffer. This book, I don't know what it is about it, but I absolutely love it. I listened to this book when I was in like a summer session for college. Like I was taking like one summer class, so I listened to it on the way to school and like on the way back because I commute. And listening to this book, like I don't know what it was, but I would just forget that it was a book, and I would think that it's like actually happening. Like I would feel like Miranda was there with me, like explaining like what happened. I felt like this was a story that was like actually happening, and I was in that farmhouse with these characters, and like I felt it. I felt the winter. I felt the like terror when their cat runs away. I felt like the joy when she finds the flyer at the end of the book and realizes that there are still people still alive out there. And it just, something about it, I absolutely fell in love love with it, and I have listened to this book so many times. I keep it just like bookmarked at my library so that if it's ever available, I can just like check it out again and just re-listen to it all over again. I actually bought it for myself so I could just like read it and take notes in it, and it actually sits in my stack. I'll just like pick it up again and just reread it all over again. And with that book, it doesn't matter how long it's been in between each read. Like, I could have just finished it and I'll want to reread it over again. And again, I don't know what it is, but I just feel so invested in that world. I feel so invested in those characters, and like I always want to go back and just relive it all over again. Only the first book in that series though. It's not the same for the rest of the books in that series because those just were not okay. Also, I think rereading for me is kind of indulgent. Like, I read books like all the time. I'm always reading something new. I have like this huge to be read pile. I'm always like finding something new to read. So whenever like the urge strikes me, or like the mood strikes me to, like, I would say like I want to reread a book, like I want to reread Throne of Glass, or I want to reread Court of Thorns and Roses, I want to reread The Hunger Games, or like whatever. It's sometimes I don't have time to do it. So whenever I can like carve out some time and be like, no, okay, we're gonna reread this series, and like this is gonna just be for you, and just take some time to like visit these characters again and like revisit this world. Like, it's very indulgent and it's just very comforting, and it just feels kind of nice to know that it's like, this is mine. Like, I'm going back and like reliving this experience and just like being with these characters again. It's entirely for me. I already know how it's going to end, so I can just kind of relax and let things happen and just like pick up on little things that maybe I didn't pick up on before. And it's really interesting experience. Like, I feel like if you don't reread books, or if you've never wanted to reread books, I don't know if this would exactly convince you, but that is the experience that I have had with books. And plus, I just love stories so much. So when I find a book that I really like, or I find a story that I just really connected with, I always want to go back and just revisit it and relearn everything and just keep exposing myself to it over and over again, because I just love storytelling. But that's really all I have for this video. Again, thank you guys so much for finding this channel, for sticking around, for subscribing, for getting me to 500 subscribers. Like, I know for some people 500 may seem like nothing, just like a teeny tiny little number, but to me this is everything, and I sincerely appreciate every single one of you, and I am so happy that all of you guys are here so you can talk books with me all the time. But speaking of which, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to hit that like button down below, and don't forget to subscribe so you can talk books with me every week. That is everything I got for today, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!